Hello and welcome to Flying Bobbins. Now today we're going to have a bit of fun. You'll probably remember my festive reversible Christmas crackers that have been super popular. Well, by popular demand we are going to make today something to go with these lovely crackers, which is a festive Christmas crown. So this is a fun little project, very easy to do, very quick. They're flat like this with a bit of ribbon at either side. They come in colours to match the crackers. You've got binding at the bottom and they do have the two colours. So you've got the grey on one side and then the lovely Christmas scene printed on the other. When you tie those up with a little bow, they fit pretty much all sizes. And you've got your very sweet Christmas crown, which everyone will be proud to wear, I'm sure. And this is a really great little project or pattern that you can use if later on next year you're going to be having a coronation party. So let's crack on and see what we need to make our lovely fabric crowns. So in your kit you get everything you need, and I'm going to make the red colourway. So you get enough to make 4 crowns, so you get 4 pieces pre-cut of the feature fabric, and again this matches the crackers that I sell, and you get 4 panels pre-cut of the reverse fabric, the contrast fabric, and those fabrics match the crackers. So you can wear with the gold showing or the red showing, whichever you prefer. You've got 4 panels pre-cut of interfacing there. You've got plenty of binding to bind the bottom edge of your hat, of your crown I should say, and you've got some ribbon there for tying your crown at the back of your head. Now, as always, you will also get your pattern. Your pattern will look slightly different. This is my template, but you will get a paper pattern in your box so that you can trace around that to make your crown. And you will also get full colour photograph instructions to help you alongside watching this video. Now, if you're making these crackers using your own supplies, I do have a pattern and instructions available to download from flyingbobbins.com. There's a link below and you can just download the instructions and patterns for both the crackers and for the crowns that go within them, and those downloads are PDFs. They're sent straight to your inbox and they're £2. So wherever you are watching this in the world, you can get this pattern straight to your inbox immediately. Now I've got everything I need in my kit to make 4 crowns, but I'm going to just show you how to do one, and then you just repeat that same process for each. And you can do them one by one, or you can do them in a kind of a production line, however you find it easier. So I've got my fabric here with my Scandinavian scene in red. Just give that a quick iron out any creases from where it was packed. Then what I want to do is, I'm looking at that facing the wrong way, that's the right side, I'm looking at the wrong side of the fabric, and place your interfacing onto the back of your fabric with the rough gluey side facing down. Line that all up. Don't worry if it's not absolutely perfect, but just roughly lined up there. And you just press the iron on that just to fuse your interfacing onto the wrong side of your fabric. You want your iron to be on a medium setting, and if you want to protect your iron and your ironing board, then you can also use a pressing cloth as well. So that's interfaced in place now. The next thing we want to do is to take our template and we're just going to draw around that. Now draw, don't cut. This is going to be our stitch line that we're drawing, and we're going to cut later. So this will make sense in a minute. But all you need right now is a fabric marker pen, felt tip pen, pencil, chalk, anything really that you can use to make a mark. on your fabric. So I'm looking at the wrong side here, the interfaced side, that's the right side. And also I've got this the right way up. So this pattern on here, obviously you want the houses to be facing upwards. So you want the little castellations of your crown to be facing up towards the top. Now line your crown template up so that the bottom edge of your template is matching with the bottom edge of your fabric. And then you just want to carefully draw round those edges. You can use a ruler to help you if you wish. This is basically where you are going to stitch your crown. And I find it easier to do it this way round. And you can pin your template in place before drawing if you like. You can use a ruler if you like to get those lines really nice and straight. I'm just going to draw around there. So when I take that away, you can see that I've got that crown shape drawn onto my fabric. So next we want to attach our ribbon. So if you take your ribbon and measure out 2 30cm lengths of ribbon. I like to cut at an angle, so just to make it look pretty. So you can cut across there to make one, and then do the same, but this time you can do a straight line, so that gives you a pair of ribbons. So you've got these like this, you've got 30cm each with a nice slanted end. Next, what you want to do is just cut off a little slither at the end of each crown, just so that you're cutting back to where you drew that template. And then we're going to secure the ribbon in place. So if you're looking at the wrong side, if you fold back there, and then you want to put your ribbon right sides together with your fabric, and you just want the ribbon to be positioned 1 centimetre down from where this line comes in here. And you can just secure that with a pin or a clip. And do the same on the other side. So put the square end of the ribbon right sides together with the fabric, positioned 1 centimetre down from where your crown notch is in there, and then clip that in place. So from this side you will have it looking like this, and you can just check that they are lining up. And then from this side you can see that the ribbons are clipped or pinned just down from where your crown shape starts. So there they are, nicely matching up. What we're going to do now is pop over to our sewing machine and just stitch through there, just to hold those ribbons in place, ready for the next step. And so my machine is threaded up with plain white thread, just everyday sew all thread, regular universal needle, nothing fancy needed here. I'm just using a straight stitch just to hold that ribbon in place, ready for the next stage. And I'll just repeat that on the other side as well. So your ribbon is now held in place with those stitches. Now what we want to do is just lay that down nice and flat and grab our lining fabric. And you want to place your lining and your outer fabric right sides together so that the printed sides are together and the ribbon is sandwiched in the middle. Don't worry if they don't line up perfectly. You just want to make sure that everything lines up at the bottom. And obviously remember that you have cut off a bit from either side there before. So just line it up like this, that's absolutely fine. Then what we want to do is pin through all those layers. So you're pinning through your crown fabric and your lining fabric all in one go. I just pop a couple of pins through across the diagonal like this, just to hold those layers together. There we go, so I've just pinned in between each triangle, holding together the lining fabric and the outer fabric with right sides together, ribbon sandwiched in the middle, just like this. Now what we're going to do is we're going to sew around the edge of our crown. So you've got this little tab here. What you want to do is you want to start in and you want to sew along here. When you get to this point, you then pivot, you come up to the peak there, pivot, down, up, and so on, until you get to the end of your crown. When you come back down here again, you're going to sew straight down again. So you're basically, this is going to be your seam allowance. You're going to sew here, and then you're going to do those peaks for your crown. Okay, so now for the fun sewing bit. You want to take your crown and you're going to sew looking at where you've drawn your pen lines. So that's what's going to make it nice and easy. And you're just going to start at the bottom straight edge of your crown, and you'll start with a bit of a back stitch. Come all the way up to where the angle changes, and then you're going to lift your presser foot, move that round, put your presser foot back down, and then stitch up to the peak of that first triangle shape. Right, stop right at the top there, lift again, and then you need to swivel it all the way round, and then you're going to travel back down that line that you've drawn. Travel all the way back down to that corner there, lift your presser foot, swivel round, presser foot back down, and this is where it really helps because you've got those nice lines to follow that you've drawn on. So all the way back up to the top, lift, swivel round, and then back down. And you're just going to go all the way to the end of your crown following those lines. And when you come back round the last point, when you come back down to the edge there, you want to just sew all the way down to the bottom of your crown along that point. A couple of back stitches. And you're done. So there you go. You can see how that stitch comes up there and then follows the blue lines. So there is my crown all sewn together. We can take the pins out now. And then we want to just trim around. So I find it easier with these unusual shapes to sew first and then to trim. So I am now cutting through both layers, both the lining and the outer fabric all in one go. And then I want to just cut so that you're leaving about ½ centimetre, maybe just under ½ centimetre. And then where you see a V, you just want to snip in using some sharp scissors. You don't want to cut your stitches, but you just want to snip right up to the stitches, and then you can just trim across the top of your points there as well. So trim away, being careful not to cut your stitches. So once that's trimmed away and you've snipped into all those points, then we can use a point turner just to turn all of this through. Can fold that in a little bit before turning it. And then just tease out those sharp points on your crown. And when you're turning your crown through, you should find that you get a nice shape there. If not, then you just need to trim a bit further. You need to be a bit braver with trimming into your point. Obviously, you don't want to cut your stitches, but you do need to trim right up to it to get that to turn through. And I do find that using either a point turner or maybe a knitting needle would help you in poking out each of these corners of your crown. And then once you've kind of coming through each triangle one at a time, then you can give everything a really good press. Once you've pushed all of these through, you can then give everything a really good press. So once you've given that a press, the last stage of the make is to add the binding to the bottom. So take your metallic binding, and we just want to cut a strip which will stretch along the bottom edge of your crown there. You want to leave a couple of centimetres at either end, just so that you've got enough space to fold that over. And what I'll do is I'll start off on the inside of my of my crown, and I just want to put the binding right sides together with that bottom edge, unfolding so that the raw edge of the binding meets the raw edge of the bottom of the crown, and I shall clip that in place and then stitch all the way down there. So just lining up the raw edge of my binding with the raw edge of my crown, I'm just going to sew that binding in place. So I'm working on the reverse on the inside of the crown. And you can wear these with either fabric towards the front. Finish with a back stitch at the end. So that's now sewn in place, raw edges matching. Now I want to fold this up here and fold that binding away from the crown. And then flip that over, so we're looking at the right side, or the more decorative side. And you just want to fold that binding up to the front. Now, if you feel like it won't quite reach, then as always, we can just come into the inside edge and just trim a little bit of that seam allowance away. And that will help us when we want to fold our binding forward. Just be careful that you're keeping a nice straight line, because you want a nice straight line to be able to press up against. So we're then ready to bring that forward and just secure with clips. And then right at the end here, where you've got this loose bit here, I just open that up, fold it in, and fold this bit inside to get rid of those raw edges and make them look a little bit neater. Hold that in place with a clip, and I'll do the same on the other side as well. So open it up, fold it in, and then tuck that bit inside there. Whoops, slippery. And that will give it a nice neat finish at either end. So now that's clipped in place, and you can give it a press as well if that helps to just hold everything where it needs to be. Then we can go ahead and just stitch down that binding on the right side. Okie dokie, so just start at one end. Hand wind that needle in place to make sure it's in the right spot. A few stitches forward, a few stitches back, and then off we go. There's a bit of bulk at the beginning there to get it over, so you might need to just encourage it there. So I am just sewing on the metallic side. I'm using white thread, that sinks in nicely to the gold. It doesn't show up against the gold. And I've used white thread throughout this project. And just keep going to the end. And then when you get to the end, just do a little back stitch to secure. And there's your binding sewn in place, so you've got a nice bound edge on both sides. And there is our crown finished. So all we have to do is to fold that into a circle and tie the little bow, and our crown is ready. I do love that pretty design.